Hey guys, how are you guys doing today? As you all know, or you can see from the title, I have Miss Bullhorn Betty here to chat with us today. I know that quite a few people in here do follow Miss Betty, and I'm sorry, I'm trying to. There's a delay, and I've got the the YouTube's on my other screen over here. Yeah, so I just wanted to kind of chat with Miss Betty and see how she actually got into the whole victims advocate true crime space here on YouTube, and any other thing, any other stuff, anything else that she would like to share with us. And guys, if I don't greet you, that's because I do roll call at the end. I'm sorry, I talk with my hands a whole lot. So,
So do I.
um, So yeah, I will definitely, if you hang around to the end, I will give your name a shout out. I feel like um, treating the guest with utmost respect is more important than well, no, because you guys are important too. I worded that totally wrong. I just feel like yeah, just it's just my thing. So we're gonna. How are you today, Miss Betty?
Oh, I'm doing well. I had, my mom was supposed to come over. Mama Bullhorn was going to come over, and I was so, just kind of chilling today. So I asked her if she'd just wait until tomorrow. So I got the day off, and it was good, relaxing. And tomorrow we're going to be working around here.
Well, that's always good. So, I know that um, I'm totally interested in how you came to be in the true crime space. I know you were speaking about like you've had some domestic violence in your past. I mean, we may segue into that, but my that's really what I'm just, and I guess I'm just a nosy woman. But I really really would be interested um, to hear what brought you to the true crime space.
Mhm. So, as many people that follow me know, that I came from a house that was filled with domestic violence growing up. I didn't realize it was wrong until I was a little older. And, when things weren't going right, my behavior as a teenager kind of got a little crazy. And I ran away from home, and believe it or not, probably found every abusive man in my county to date when I was younger. And it came with a whole host of violent issues, them going in and out of jail, and things of that nature. Most notably, at 15, my father was throwing my ex in jail for putting a knife to my throat. And, years later, that was a big space. I had a lot of struggles, a lot of, drugs, alcohol struggles, dealing with all this childhood trauma, teen to adult trauma. I was sexually assaulted in my 20s, and they still have not yet found the perpetrators of that crime. And so I went into like almost a dark hole, so to speak. I didn't want to feel anything. And as I'm coming out of that, there was a lot of struggles, especially trying to separate from ex, and then whenever you give yourself space, you always seem to be attracted to that type of person, the ones that are abusive. They're not abusive at the beginning, but they're abusive at the end, to the point where I just didn't really want to be with anyone, to be honest with you. And then I met my husband, and kind of he was, a decent guy, so to speak, but he was still verbally abusive. He was still psychologically abusive. There was a lot of still different types of abuse that went on in that relationship. And of course, he was drinking and partying at the bars all the time. And I was going down there with him, and it was just kind of like everything just gelled. It was fun for a while, and then it just got to the point where I was just tired. I wanted a total life change. I didn't want the bar scene anymore. I've seen the same people for the last 20 years, and just started changing. It didn't come by force. It was just a natural migration of me just being, fed up, and, when it was enough. And there was a lot of different things, like when my husband and I would get in a fight, just a verbal argument, a verbal confrontation. if he wanted to leave the house, and instead of just leaving the house because I wouldn't give him the bank card, he would throw me in jail so he could leave the house with the bank card. And that started, happening more and more. Meanwhile, I'm still trying to distance myself. Him and I are sleeping in separate rooms. I started getting into politics and, being an advocate for political things, protecting the citizens here when they can't go to these meetings. There's a lot of people that back, the work that I was doing at the time. And so that kind of progressed. And then you start meeting people with the same stories and stuff like that. And you just start really trying to figure out what can we do in the county. And me, going to my, knowing all the politicians in my county and, state politicians and things of that nature, I decided to start figuring out what I could do to help. And my primary concern up until Gabby Petito was helping young youth, because there's a school here in Manatee County called Horizon, which is almost like a boot camp for children that are acting up. And I'm trying to prevent those children from even getting to that school in the first place, because most of the children, like myself, were acting out at that age because of things that were going on in the home. And I wanted to make sure that, we're not unfairly punishing the child and telling them that they're bad when they're dealing with so much at home that needs to be addressed before they can really start, doing better at school, And I just didn't want them going to that school, because we heard horrible things. I mean, like, they've got to walk through metal detectors. They got to take their shoes off. They got to take their belts off. I mean, it to do that every day just because you're having bad behavior at school just didn't seem like it was justified. And so that was a calling that myself, as well as another activist here in this county, his name's Glenn, ended up, going and sitting down with the sheriff to find out what we could do as as activists and as a community, how we can inspire change so we get to these kids before they get out there. And then, of course, Gabby Petito came around, and it was like there were so many hallmarks of that case that resonated with me so much. And I didn't really know her. Jonathan is in the political realm as well. And he knew somebody that was related to her family. And they were begging for him to help. And I happened to be at a political rally. And he's seen me there. We've worked together in the past for, different political things all up and down the state of Florida. So, he asked me if I wanted to go out there and start looking into this case. And I'm thinking, well, this is kind of out of the realm. He's like, well, we need to try to stir up some stuff on this, because her family, a member of her family has reached out to me. They're very concerned. They don't know what's going on. Police aren't talking to them. They just, she just wants any information we can give her. I'm like, well, when I get back, I'm not really doing anything. So why not? So I started researching her case, started looking into it, and it was just so heartbreaking. And if I could keep her in the spotlight, if I could, find a way to keep her name and her face, because at this time she was missing. Nobody knew she was gone except, just obviously a few people. And so we were out there trying to find answers and just wanting the family to cooperate. And we realized what good we did. We know that we took a lot of heat for doing the work that we did, but the good, in my opinion, outshined the people that were not happy with it. They go to the extreme, like, well, the neighbors don't deserve it. Most of the neighbors weren't even there. They had sold their properties to these news organizations. There was a couple neighbors there, and many of them came out from the back streets and other to stand there with us in solidarity. So these people were putting words and, spreading this across the everything that, we were out there pestering the neighbors. That wasn't the truth. So once this case ran out, we followed this case. We were out there searching for Brian Laundrie in Myakkahatchee Creek Environmental Park. When we realized how close we came to where he actually was, we realized, there were some things that, maybe we could have, if we just kept looking a little bit further. It's always the woulda, coulda, shoulda.
Right.
If we would have taken this road instead of that road. And then came the Kylan Schulte and Crystal Turner, because Gabby and Brian, for the most part, many people had questions whether he had the ability to take them out as well. It was a double homicide in Moab where we definitely saw him because they had body cam footage. Gabby was about to go to jail for domestic violence, which, we even went to Moab and sat down with Moab police to advocate for domestic violence victims because it's not always a cut case. Women will tell an officer that they are the aggressor to make sure that they don't get more punishment by the aggressor when all is said and done. And she almost went to jail. And I wanted to make it a point to let them know that this happens all the time. And yes, you want to separate them, but you have to find it's law enforcement's responsibility to make sure that the information that they're arresting somebody on is accurate, truthful, and factual. And when they can clearly see how much more distressed she is and some of the things that she said, because she even acknowledged that he grabbed her throat, and they were still ready to arrest her as the primary aggressor when she was not. And so we wanted to make sure that they're retraining their officers in Moab. We wanted to make sure that aspect was heard and driven home. So, a woman is not unfairly put in jail when they know that there's domestic violence being perpetrated by the other person. Will that change? I really don't know. But, that's how we got into the true crime. We were on TikTok. We were covering the Gabby Petito case and Brian Laundrie case on TikTok. We got a massive following from the work that we did on that case. And they actually TikTokers paid for our trip, all four of us, to go out to Moab, Utah and Jackson Hole, Wyoming. So we realized it was at that point that, people were paying attention. They really wanted answers. They know they weren't getting answers from mainstream media. They knew they weren't getting the answers from law enforcement. And we have our rights to do what we do. We're not breaking any laws by any stretch of the imagination. And we're able to bring that content to the viewers, as well as provide information that we find along the way to law enforcement. Almost a win-win. We went into the Grand County Sheriff, and the first person we brought up to that sheriff, to Lieutenant Kim Neal, was that Adam Pinkschwitz guy. I can't pronounce his name right. And, we talked about other people, but he perked our curiosity very much so. And we realized that, it wasn't, at least for me, it was more of a calling that got into this. And all this stuff, again, happened organically. It's not something that I put on a piece of paper and said, this is my skill set. This is where I'm going to go. I want to go on YouTube. I want to be, have all this hate come after me. I can't imagine. It was all the building blocks in my life, the good and the bad, that propelled me in this direction. I would not be here right now if I did not have to walk the walk I had to walk back then. I would be a different person. Who knows? I'd probably be an attorney by now, had I had the straight and narrow life. But that wasn't the path that I was meant to take. And I truly believe everything happens for a reason. What I had to go through is what I had to go through to be who I am today.
Right. Absolutely. I totally agree. I wouldn't be who I am if I didn't go through every single hardship or whatever. I don't count it as a loss if I gain in the end. So
yeah. And for many people, I don't hate my father. I love my dad. My dad wasn't my best friend growing up. There was just a lot of toxicity that was created throughout the life, from my dad was trying, my mom and him split up, but the damage was already done at that point. And they're trying to fix me before I'm unfixable. And it caused a major strain on me and my father's relationship, so much so that we don't really talk that much. Do we love each other? There's not one day that goes by that I don't believe my dad loves me. And I hope there's not one day that goes by that my dad does not know that I love him. But even when I was trying to get better, just at that point, just the toxicity of that relationship was really, proving to be very difficult to maintain, keep the substances away because, my father was a lot of my trigger. And that relationship was a lot of my trigger. And it wasn't that I, don't love my dad and don't want anything to do with him. I think I'm far enough along at this point that, those types of things would not trigger me now. But again, it's almost like the damage is done. I'm still thinking time cures all. And there will be a chapter 2 of Bullhorn Betty and Bullhorn Betty Dad.
Right. Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I don't talk to my dad. He's the only living parent that I have, and he's the only one living of my elders. And we go 5 or 6 months, and he's told me himself, he's like, we don't talk that often, but we just know we're okay.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, cool. I mean, I can't thank his new wife enough that he's in church, because he never went to church with my mother. And he's absolutely, he at this point in his life, he tells me I've heard him tell me he loves me more now than when I was a child.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, he was a man that grew up with the 50s mentality. We worked, we provided, leave me alone.
Yeah. That's my dad too. He's always like I'm, and that's funny because of the way he, when we got upset, or, we weren't very happy, so to speak, he would throw money at the problem. And that's what he always did. He always just threw money at the problem. So it's like, money is not, it doesn't win me over by any stretch of the imagination, because when you start throwing money just because there's a problem, it's almost a turnoff for me, because it just reminds me so much of my father.
Yeah, that's, wow, yeah. I mean, I owe it to my dad, that's how come, well, and a little bit to my ex-husband, but I was always gopher for my dad.
Yeah.
When he was building his race cars. So I owe it to my dad as to why I know so much about cars.
Yeah, my dad he doesn't tell me too much about cars, but as far as plumbing, building frames, electrical, I can do it. I actually work on my cars, but it's not, courtesy of Daddy Bullhorn. It's courtesy of YouTube.
Yeah.
Every time something happens to the car, I go on there. Yeah. I see how hard it's going to be, if I need special tools, or if it's just going to be a bunch of time and me throwing tools and cussing. But, then I'll order the part once I have a good understanding of what, how to fix the problem.
Right. And I'm probably going to break down and watch a couple of YouTube. I've got to bleed the brakes, but that's a 2-man job, right? That's definitely a 2-man job. So
yeah, it could be a one-person job, but it's very difficult. That's why I always wind the calipers back. I never disconnect anything. So if you wind the calipers back and there's no release of brake fluid, you don't have to bleed your brakes. But
well, no, I think with mine, it's the previous owners didn't have that gasket seal in where you pour the brake fluid in. That gasket that as you use the brake fluid, it'll go down. It wasn't in there. It's like I could pick the lid off, and I'm like, that's not right. It's supposed to have that gasket. So I went and bought that, but it's still doing the same thing it's doing. So I think I just need to. I think there's either moisture or air in the line somewhere, because one of the brakes is locking up. You got to be careful,
because many people have changed their brakes and didn't bleed the brake line, and there's nothing more scary than your pedal hitting that floor and it's still going.
Yeah, that would be scary. I actually have the other problem. It wants to stay decompressed.
Oh, it doesn't want to pick up.
Right. Well, no, it's the brakes lock. So I can't go nowhere.
Calipers.
Well, it's disc brake all around, but that's neither here nor there. I mean, I do owe it to my dad that I know a lot more about cars than most women.
Yeah.
because he did teach me a lot. It's like putting a puzzle together. I mean, who the hell knows what oil rings are, right? I do.
So. Now I can't. I just to let everybody know, I can't rebuild an engine. But if I need to change out a thermostat, a water pump, the serpentine belt, the alternator, the radiator, I'm your gal. I'll get in there and rip the car out and get stuff done. Because my ex-husband, he needed a new radiator, but it required us taking almost the whole front end of the truck off. And I'm like, if I'm doing this, we're going to get a new water pump, a new alternator, because I don't want to have. It was a Ford car. He bought it? I think in 2015 or 16. It was a 2011. It already had 100,000 miles on it because it was run all over the interstates. And so I figured, well, the stuff still looks good, but I don't want to have to do this because it breaks down in another 6 months or a year. So we might as well. It's open. We might as well replace it all. The only thing we didn't replace for maintenance was the starter, which I wish we would have replaced. But I don't really care now. He's my ex. He's not
Right. So do you have any Kate? Well, I'm always catching your replays or whatever, but because I'm here, there, and everywhere, right? Trying to listen to the gossip but not participate.
Yeah, I know. It's hard. That's why I don't even, I barely watch. There's only a few creators that I really watch anymore. And they're not necessarily people that I get along with, but, I do keep an eye on White Rabbit because she's my therapist. Without her channel, people might actually see a Bullhorn Betty meltdown. No, I'm just joking. We love White Rabbit's channel. White Rabbit's food for the soul. So I got it. She's on all. I don't care what she posts. I get a notification for. I watch Marissa. I watch her channel. She was just doing I said, what is it? R. Kelly, him getting 30 years. I watch her. I watch Justice for All. I love, since I met True Crime with Eve, which I actually had True Crime with Eve on my channel really early on, back when I was a little cray on the channel, when we were getting all into the drama and stuff. I really just don't engage in the drama. Sometimes I do, but what does it say? That's
for you.
Question time. I want to know what Bullhorn Betty's favorite dinner is, and if she'll come. I don't know what that is.
Randonautica. It's a app on your phone.
I don't know what it is, but yeah, I've got 1,000 apps on it. Might as well have one more. So my favorite food is actually a toss-up. It is actually a toss-up. So I am there's 3 main courses for Bullhorn Betty's Heart, and that's either chicken, seafood, or steak. So, and steak, I'm fine with steak. I'm fine with, the T-bone. I'm fine with a New York strip. I'm fine with a ribeye. Any kind of seafood you can imagine. I love seafood. And the other thing is I'm a major chicken head. I mean, seriously, I could make, like on Forrest Gump, where Bubba's, he's got the 1,000 ways of making shrimp. That's how they form Bubba Gump shrimp. I'm chicken. I got like 1,000 recipes for chicken. Like I could literally cook chicken every single night of the month and have a new recipe for it, and it would still be good.
Yeah. Chicken's just one of those things you can season with anything, and you're exactly right.
But my favorite dish that I like to make is a toss-up between my lasagna or chicken and dumplings. I make a chicken and dumplings. It's not a traditional chicken and dumplings by any stretch of the imagination, because it's got onions, carrots, celery, and I actually put baked potato in the recipe, and 2 different kinds of dumplings. I roll my own dumplings out from scratch, and I make almost like a Bisquick type of dumpling. But the Bisquick type of dumpling breaks down a little bit more and makes the sauce in the chicken and dumplings thicker.
Yes, I can cook a mean batch of chicken and dumplings too.
Mhm.
But that's a mom. Mama taught me her recipe, and
Yeah.
she definitely told me not to skimp on the dumplings. Roll them out every
Nope.
time. Yep.
Roll them
I
out,
tried.
and you
Yeah,
can't make them too thick, and you can't make them too thin.
exactly. And she said, don't even go with the canned biscuits because that's a cheat. So,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah. And I've done it with canned biscuits when I haven't felt like rolling
yeah,
them out. I've done it with canned biscuits, but I gotta say, it's just not the same as a rolled out, a well seasoned rolled out dumpling.
yes, yes. Now you're making me crave chicken and
I
dumplings.
know.
Um,
Next time I make a batch, because my chicken and dumplings is not a quick meal. Chicken and dumplings for me, because I do it literally from scratch. A whole chicken in the stock pot, and it's got to boil down. My chicken and dumplings typically take me 4 to 5 hours.
right. Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely something I couldn't cook during the week because of
Yeah.
work. um, so what cases are you, I mean, do you have any upcoming cases or anything
Yeah,
that you're
yeah.
looking into?
We're yes, I am looking into, and I actually, we have almost like a team, because I mean, I'm sure you're similar. Your audience is kind of your team and your teammates, and they feed you all kinds of information whenever you start talking about a case. But we're still following the Gabby Petito Brian Laundrie case because it hasn't concluded yet. It hasn't concluded. We've been there from the beginning, and I want to be there to the end. I want to truly see justice for Gabby Petito. I just, in my heart, I just feel she never once got justice. Um, Brian took the easy way out, and even if he wasn't going to take the easy way out, his parents were going to try to help, um, stop him being held accountable or help him and aid him in fleeing responsibility for what he did. So, not really good fans of the dirty laundries. We knew that early on just by being out there. We interviewed a lot of people, just saw us, on camera with our bullhorns, the 5 minutes. Now, you got to remember, we only went 5 minutes every hour on the hour. People knew what we were doing. We were very open with the neighbors, the neighborhood, as well as law enforcement about what our strategy was going to be out in front of there. So nobody got hurt and everybody knew what we were doing. But nobody realizes there's still 55 minutes of every hour that
Right.
we weren't there. And those times were spent running to the Myakkahatchee Creek Environmental Park, going to stores, interviewing people, seeing if there was a possibility of Brian going into, say, like Dick's Sporting Goods to buy tents or camping gear. Because remember, we were looking for him. All of us, until October 20th came and he was actually found, we thought we were dealing with somebody that was fleeing, not somebody that was immobile,
Right.
dead, so to speak. So we're still following that. I'm jumping into this Michael Vaughn case because we made such a wonderful platform with Summers Army, and this was a case that happened in and around the time that Summer disappeared. Now, granted, it was like 40 or some odd days after she disappeared, and it was all the way in Idaho. But still a sad story. So we're just getting started on that. I know when I get started on something, people get their feathers ruffled because we have open discussions about all aspects of the case, not just the ones people want to talk about, but the parts that people don't want to talk about. And so we're actually working that. I'm also looking into Cody Bigsby because I feel like, his dad's, facing a lot of charges and is behind bars. But this case did not get wide attention as many of the other missing kid cases have gotten. And he still hasn't been found. And so, I really like to expose that case a little more, on the streets of YouTube. We're still following Summer Wells. I'm not done with that case. I know a lot of people, a lot of creators I've heard saying that they're not going to go back to Tennessee, since the candlelight vigil, but I'm not quite there yet. So I probably will go back to Tennessee. I'm definitely going to be there if anything breaks in the case. I'll be flying out of this house, just with whatever I can grab, I'll be heading out. And, obviously during the prosecution of whomever may be responsible for her disappearance, I will be there for that. And so those are definitely places that I will definitely be, but I will probably plan another trip out there. I'm not sure when, but it's not off the table for me. And then the last one that we're a lot of people are speaking of, which I'm glad to see it's getting exposure, is Dylan Rounds. And it sounds like that the law enforcement are really getting close. I think they may have already named a person of interest in this case. And when they publicly name a person of interest in this case, that's huge, because they always want to keep everything confidential, keep the cases, the integrity of the case, preserve the integrity of the case. So they don't come out and talk about persons of interest because they don't want to alert that person of interest. And therefore, if we ever do hear off law enforcement come out with either a suspect or a person of interest, you can bet that there was a lot that went into that, and they're getting really confident in their choice, because otherwise they'd keep all that hush hush. Duke says, does anyone think Brian could still be alive? Duke's, personally, I don't. I don't think he is alive at all. I think his parents didn't think he was going to do what he did and wanted to help him, flee and do whatever they were going to do. I think the grief of what he did, and when you're around somebody every single day, and this is what's really bad, even with toxic relationships and abusive relationships, you have a comfort zone with that person. That is, even if you're around a person every single day fighting like cats and dogs, that's still your life. That's still a piece of your life. And when you take that away and you no longer have it, and you wake up every day realizing you're the one that did that, a lot of people don't realize that weighs heavily on people's minds. And I just don't think he could recover from that. I don't think it sounds like they must have gotten into a heated fight. I mean, I'm reading between the lines. This is not factual. This is just Bullhorn Betty's opinion. But I think they got into a fight. He hit her with something, or, got angry and smacked her head down on something. And he didn't think it was going to be that bad. But as she was progressing and the signs were, and her signs were getting worse, I think he got more and more scared. And I think he ultimately just, he was expecting her to come back. And I just think he was watching her slowly go away. And he knew that she was just in just complete, utter agony from what he did. But I can't imagine somebody being injured from a slip and fall, or, anything. And you're not leaving them there for just a little bit to go and make a phone call to get help. I mean, normal people, when you watch somebody get injured or hurt in front of you, the first thing you do, whether you have to leave their side or not, you leave their side and go get help any way you can. And I just didn't understand that aspect, why you would choose this final, act of what he perceived as being merciful, just taking her out instead of trying to save her life. If he would have called, for help when this happened, instead of trying to build fires and, go hunt for sticks and stuff like that, and took that time to go back to a vehicle that was only 1,000 yards away from him to make a phone call, because we checked our phones out there. We were 4 people out there. 2 had the same exact service. I had a separate service, and JLR had a separate service. Every one of our phones worked out there while we parked right in their same spot. We looked at the photo. We put our vehicle right in the same spot as they had theirs.
Wow. So there really was no excuse for not calling for emergency help at all.
No, there wasn't. And there was a lot of people that do camp there. When we went there, it was colder. There wasn't as many people out there, but there was a huge trucks pulling, that was a private company that contracted with the state or the county, and was pulling rocks out. Apparently they were a rock company or some type of company. So there was big, huge trucks running up and down that driveway I don't know if it was because of the time that we were there that they were doing it. Maybe less people were in the area. I don't know if those trucks were driving up and down there months previously when Brian and Gabby were there, but I can tell you where she was in a really remote spot. And I'm not saying that people don't go out there and venture, but it's not an area that's legal to camp in. And it's definitely not an area legal to create a fire and burn a fire. She must have got injured there and could not walk, and he could not carry her across the water, because that's one thing people don't realize is there was a lot of water. Now, granted, it wasn't high water. It was ankle to calf deep water, but there were streams, and there was a lot of them that you had to cross to get to her. So it wasn't an easy path to get her over there. So maybe the idea of him injuring her and then taking her out there over his shoulder may not have happened, because, it seems like it would be the degree of difficulty getting across those streams would have been a little difficult.
Right. I don't know. I guess
I still haven't been convinced why that spot. I still don't understand why that spot and why he left her out there, because in that particular spot, so far away from the camping grounds and everything like that, you have a lot more wild animals. When we were out there, we had a grizzly bear with cubs 600 yards away that a hunter actually saw that bear and came up to us and told us that, there's a bear 600 yards away. I'm not leaving your side, because if that bear turns, that bear can move and move quickly, and you guys are going to have some problems. So he stood there with his rifle on his back to make sure that we could cross safely and get back safely. And even when we crossed safely and he wasn't there when we got back, we knew he was in his vehicle with that gun pointed that way.
Right. Wow. Yeah. I mean, I know that not to switch subjects, but I know that the first 2 times I went to Ben Hill, there was less foliage, so I had service all the way out there, all the way in there, and all the way out. But I'm local, I kind of.
So you probably have AT&T?
No, I've got Straight Talk.
Oh, nice. Because my phone, when I go out there, there's no bars.
Right. No. This last time I went, because because there's more foliage blocking the signal, like it's like completely overgrown. Like the first 2 times I went out there, we could see her banner. Like her banner, as soon as you went on Ben Hill, that's the first thing you saw.
You can't see it now.
You can't. It's completely covered up. Like it's that overgrown, and I'm like, holy cow! I'm just But no, I had no phone service out there at all. The last time.
Yeah, I haven't had phone service. There was one time I had a little bit of phone service, but I didn't have phone service the last few times I went out there, especially in that area. But we did put, for those that know, we thanks to the Turtle Gang and Dolly Vision, we were able to place a new banner in an area that would be seen by more motorists as they drove down Beach Creek, because the sign was actually on Ben Hill. And many people don't drive on Ben Hill because, only the people that reside there typically, because they don't have a lot of company. I mean, I guess they could, but still, it seems to me that the better spot for a sign for Summer Wells would have been visual on Beach Creek as opposed to Ben Hill Road.
Yeah, absolutely. I know that there's, there's not really that much traffic, or there wasn't during the times that I was down there. But yeah, it definitely would have made more sense to put it somewhere where it was visible for more people.
Yeah. Yeah, because Beach Creek, you're right. It doesn't have a whole lot of traffic, but it has steady traffic. So there's always a car coming by at some point in time. It's never just desolate. Nobody comes by. And a lot of the cars on Beach Creek drive really, really fast.
Yes, they do. Yeah. The last time I was down there, I was with Leave It to Beaver and Prissy, but I rode with Leave It to Beaver, and she obviously slowed in the curves, but she was doing 50, and
Mhm.
you know, I was, I was sitting there a little bit, you know,
Nervous?
leery. Yeah, yeah, because I didn't do that. I couldn't drive that fast on there, but I was in an SUV. She was lower to the ground. Anyway, she's a good driver, but it was. She was testing that theory, 90 mile an hour the whole way there. There's no way. But, people do exaggerate. I get that. I just,
Yeah. Yeah, they're going fast, but they're not going 90, 80, or
yeah,
90.
no.
No, they're not
No.
going fast. But
She
trust
actually,
me, even if they were going 20 miles an hour, it'd be too fast when you're walking with no, you know, area to walk. Like
yes.
when you have to get, like when we had to put that banner out, we were hollering back, car. If we heard a car coming, to let everybody know, suck it in and scoot
Right.
over, because you're going to be sharing the road with a car coming at you at some ridiculous speed. 50 miles an hour is still fast when it's coming directly at you.
Yes, yes. And the reason, well, there was actually a resident that actually passed us and flipped us off because he or she thought we were going too slow. And she drives like rabbit. And I told her this. I told Beaver she drives like rabbit. I'm like, golly, you guys got racing in your blood, don't you? And she just laughed at me.
Yeah, that's funny. That's funny. I didn't know Rabbit drove fast. Not only is she my
Yeah.
blonde queen, my blonde sister from another mister, she's got the same kind of lead foot that I do.
Oh, I mean, she drives fast, but I felt safe with both of them.
Yeah.
They're good drivers. I just have to pick on her because she's in here. So,
Yeah, poke some fun. Poke some fun. But those are the cases that I'm covering. There's a lot that has brought me here. I don't know why I stay, because sometimes it gets overwhelming on here sometimes. Like even today, I just I've been going for 7 days. I've had multiple videos out all days of the week, and it was like some days I get up and it's like I need a me day. And I
yeah,
was so excited
absolutely.
about, Mama Bullhorn coming here, and I just called her and I'm like, she's like, is anything wrong? I'm like, no, nothing's wrong. Um, I just feel like being lazy today, like just
Right.
purely, utterly lazy. And some days I need that. And I got cupcakes and a lazy day, girl.
Right. Yeah. I
This is actually my first cup of coffee for today.
Oh wow.
I've been drinking water. And I had a glass of soda that I haven't finished. But I'm like, I need to make some coffee. I can't go online without my signature beverage.
Right. Right. Well, I have a beer sitting over here because I'm getting ready to, you know.
Good for you. Good for you. Every now and then,
Yeah.
it's so funny because, I don't really drink that much. I do occasionally drink with friends and, socially now. That wasn't the way I used to drink. But, I drink socially now. And two of my mods, we were chatting it up in a chat room, and we were all trying to have, like I don't know, a mini wine fest amongst us on chat. And so I didn't have wine, but I had a couple beers laying around the house. I think it was like 3. And it wasn't even beer that I drank. It was just, left here. Like when I've gone to stuff and people put stuff in my cooler, I just throw it in the fridge when I got home and stuff like that. So I had some beer, and I'm like, oh, well, I'll drink some beer with you guys. I got to like the second beer. I opened the third beer and I was done. Like, I'm like, girls, I'm tired. I'm going to bed. I can't hang. I couldn't
Right.
get to the
Yeah.
beer number 3. So beer number 2 was Anissa's like, not me. I know she can act well. And I'm not going to tell Anissa's story. Yes, I am. Why not? Why not? I should tell Anissa's story. So one day she had a bad day. Well, I shouldn't say a bad day. Just a stressful day at work or something like that. And this poor girl, she had got a bottle of wine, and she went to put a cork in it and broke the cork inside the bottle instead of
Oh
getting it
no.
out of the bottle. And so she's like, she was upset about it. She's trying to drink. She's trying to pour it. And of course the cork couldn't get her wine out. So she's like, screw it. So she throws the bottle away. And then she's going to go to the store. Well, long story short, it took her 2 hours to finally get her one glass of wine. I think by the time she got the wine, she was so tuckered out, I doubt she finished it. No, I'm just joking. I think she drank the whole bottle at that point. I told your story, Anissa. You can beat me later.
That's okay. We all have those days. I find it easier to go to sleep because I'm a one beer girl. One beer and I'm usually toast. I'm ready for bed, right?
Right.
So yeah, it's because I get wound up. So because I'm always 10 hours, you're just constantly moving for 10 hours and you don't get to sit down at all, right?
Yeah, a lot of people don't realize, even me, like when I get up at 5:30, by 12:30, I've already been running for 7 hours.
Yeah. It's but I love my job. I mean, I absolutely love what I do. It's like I'm crafting all day because I put logos on golf shirts. So,
yeah.
But it's a stressful work. Sometimes when you've got a 1,000-piece order that has to be out in 2 days, you got to bust your hump to get it out.
Yeah. But if you watch my channel, we know to relax. Never focus on the deadline. Focus on the task at hand.
Right. Absolutely. Yes. Well, here I am stuttering again. You're
doing great. I've enjoyed myself on here. It's been nice.
Well, me too. And I absolutely thank you for coming on my channel and sharing how you came to be in the true crime space. I think that's not a lot of people know that. I mean, your subscribers probably know that, but not a lot of people. I didn't realize just the depth of it all. Right? Me personally.
Sister Evan, sorry. She's like, I saw Betty Pump. I'm not going there, Toaster Oven. You got a rare shot of Bullhorn Betty. I can't help it. All right, sorry.
I don't know. I just wanted to say thank you for coming up here. If you ever decide that you want to share any of your domestic violence stories, you have a safe space here to do so. There's an open invitation.
There's quite a few. Like I said, it was when I was out there, I dumped one boyfriend and went to the arms of the same type of man. It was crazy. It was like, I don't know how to describe it. And that's why I'm so standoffish now. Like I have like major trust issues about accepting really, it takes a lot for me to put my guard down anymore, and people out there try to say, well, she's been arrested for domestic violence. You know what? When you go to jail 5 times because your husband wants to clean out your bank account, trust me, when those cuffs come on, there's a lot of shit that comes out of that mouth. And excuse my language, but I was not kind at all. And that didn't mean that he wasn't using law enforcement as a weapon against me.
Right.
Now I'm not saying that the things that I've done I'm not ashamed of. There are a lot of things I've done, but I was out there in the bars drinking and doing some ungodly and unsavory things myself. You have moments. So, but it took me really putting my own house in order to get through that. And, the divorce was finalized. Oh crap. I can't even remember what date it was finalized, but, I still am amicable to my ex-husband. I will always be. I pride myself of, just because we had a toxic, horrible relationship does not mean that we have to be nasty with each other. I've never been that type of person. But, we still chat to this day. He's got some issues going on or, needs some legal advice. He'll pick up the phone and call me.
Right. So guys, I think I am going to go ahead and end this one here. I think I've taken up 50 minutes of Miss Bullhorn's
Like I said,
time.
if the audience has any questions, I'm happy to answer some
Yes.
questions too.
Yes, if any of you guys have any questions, just throw them in the chat and I'll pop them up for Miss Betty and we'll go from there.
Yeah, B, my divorce was probably the easiest divorce I think in outside of the timing. It took still a year, but we didn't contest anything. I mean, the day that we decided to split up, we went to the drawing board and we put it in action. Like my husband went straight down to the courthouse with me. We filed the divorce papers. He filed the quitclaim deed to the house over to me. He signed one of my pickup truck over to me because everything was kind of in his name, but it was mine, and my car. So I had my vehicle, my pickup truck, and the house, and he got all the business and business equipment, which he ran into the ground within months, and then sold
Right.
off all the tools that I had purchased.
Oh goodness. I see you like. Do you like pink, or is that just what you chose for your chair?
Actually, my favorite color is actually blue. I love blue. Blue is my favorite color. I didn't really get into pink until, believe it or not, until my 30s. And that's like, because I was a rough, tough cream puff. So, I wasn't really very girly. And part of the changes in my life, I try to, I don't know how to explain it. I was a tomboy growing up.
Yeah, me
So,
too.
but
Me
my
too.
favorite blue of the blue family is electric metallic blue. That is by far my favorite color blue ever.
Well, you see, my chair is pink too. It's sort of the same, but mine lights up, and you really
You got your
I
whole
don't know.
room lit up.
Well, it's my whole apartment.
Mm-hmm.
They wouldn't let me paint my walls, so I figured the next best thing was to buy a bunch of LEDs, and
There you go.
I can change it any color I want. I just stuck it on pink.
I can't wait until Mama Bullhorn comes over because she's going to be helping me. You can't take this TV off the wall one person, and I don't know how my ex put it up there, but I'm not going to try taking it down because it's really not a TV. It's more of a computer. It runs. I got a big keyboard but it's what I used to watch, news and stocks and stuff on. But I don't really play with that stuff.
There's a question.
Okay, so what was the most difficult case I've worked on? By far, I have to say, hands down, it would be the Summer Wells. And it was difficult not because of the work that we did, but because of all the nastiness that came up with, just not liking the work we were doing, not liking our opinions we were creating, but we're allowed to create them, especially when we spend as much time trying to find the answers that we did.
Okay.
It's not like we went out willy-nilly and said, oh, this happened. I mean, we had listed every possibility that could have happened, and we went through and figured out how to prove or disprove that. And at the end of the day, the bottom line is, and I'm sure you probably noticed when you got there, the degree of difficulty of snatching a child from that particular property is very, very hard to do, no matter how you flip a coin. It wasn't a place of opportunity. So, yeah, there is a possibility that she did just wander off. But at this point, I feel with all the searches and the amount of people and the amount of terrain, they would have found her by now. If she was on top of the ground, they would have found her by now. Somebody would have ran across her at this point. There's been multiple searches in and around the Wells property. So, and searches of their property. There were, dogs that have been out there, cadaver and otherwise, on multiple occasions. To me, it seems like if she had just wandered off, that she would have been found by now. And if she had just wandered off, the neighbor kind of put it in perspective for me. He recalls that day, June 15th, and he said that he could hear them, even though he's not adjoined to their property, he could hear them hollering for Summer Wells that evening. He could hear them from his home. And he said, if I hollered back, I guarantee they would have heard me. he was explaining this to me because if Summer had just wandered off, she would have heard them calling for her,
Right.
and she could have called back so they knew that she was out there, and she never did. He said he never heard her call back, which really kind of makes it odd that if she did wander off, why she couldn't hear her mom's calls or the boys' calls or Grandis's calls, but the gentleman that lives further, much further up the mountain, could hear all of it.
Right. Right. Yeah. I think the thing that sticks out with me about Summer's case is that, and I don't know any of the behind the scenes information. I really just want to stay ignorant as far as that goes. But it seems to me that they just keep going back. They keep going back to the same places that they've already searched. So I don't know. I mean, to me, that's weird. I don't know why they don't broaden it out a little bit further.
Because they probably have information that's keeping it so close. And if you think of it, if you were looking at an abduction theory, it's very rare that somebody's going to abduct a child right there, do what they're going to do with the child right there. Usually in an abduction, they snatch the child and get the heck out of Dodge as quickly as possible. Therefore, them being that close to the home is really signaling, at least to me, that there's more going on behind the curtain. And, granted, it is a theory, it is an opinion, it is conjecture and speculation. But, in the grand scheme of things, most people that snatch children aren't going to be putting that child anywhere near that home. They're getting the heck out of Dodge before anybody sees them with that child.
Right. Right. Which stands to reason. Next question is on the screen.
Well, who's my favorite band? Well, I have an old soul. So one of my most favorite of all time is Janis Joplin. My next favorite, believe it or not, is Pink. I love Pink's music. I have been a fan of Pink's music since I was, I don't know if I was a teenager or a young adult, but Pink is by far one of my more favorite artists. I like her story as well. Like, her story's pretty amazing as well. Her backstory, how she became Pink. But that's, I really am, I don't know. I like all kinds of music. But here recently, over the last couple years, believe it or not, I've stuck to Christian music. So if you get into my car, Spirit FM is playing on that. When I was out at, preparing for summer's candlelight vigil, Spirit FM was playing on my big speaker. It's just, I don't know. I just find it, food for the soul.
That's
I don't
great.
like the beach and ocean. And Nessa knows why I don't like. It's because I have lived here my whole life. I can literally walk or drive like 15, 20 minutes away and I'm at water. It's like, and you always want what you can't have. Waking up to a beautiful mountain view, and then of course when you have to start shoveling snow to get out of your home, then you're going to be thinking, maybe that beach life was not bad after all. But it's one of those things where you're around it so much that you take it for granted.
Right.
And I'm honest, that's exactly what it is. I've been around it so much. I take its beauty and its peace and serenity for granted.
Yeah, I lived on the outskirts of Orlando for almost 3 years and never went to the beach, ever. Mm-hmm. I was like 10 or 15 minutes from Cocoa Beach. I lived in Bigelow. If you've ever heard of it, you know where.
I never heard of it.
It's I don't even think it has a stoplight. So it's just it's 20 minutes outside of Cocoa Beach in Cape Cod. Well, all that stuff. So Granny Boots wants to know is the most difficult case you have worked on.
Yeah, I think we just covered that with the Wells case.
Okay. Hey, Jamie. Well, I don't see any more questions. You guys got any more questions for her? Is it close to Christmas? It is actually Christmas is the next town over. on your way to the beach. Yes, that is where I have my oldest two. My oldest two is in Florida. One in Seminole County and one in Orange County.
Wow. If they're in Orange County, I've kicked up some dust there too.
Yeah, I am. When we first went down there, we lived in, I guess, Orlando proper, but they still called it Fern Park is what they called it. And I worked in an Arby's right beside the strip joint, so all the strippers would come over and eat out Arby's when they were on break. I thought it was the greatest thing ever.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Does she believe in ghosts? I believe in everything because I just don't believe our solar system is the only solar system in the big black nothing. So I am I'm not superstitious, but I do believe there's things out there that people, don't know about. I just believe that.
I think that's kind of selfish of us to think that we're the only ones in the universe.
Yeah.
Not saying, that I know anything that anybody. I don't know. I mean, there has to be.
I've never had a ghost. I've never had a ghost. Or at least a presence that I feel. Now, I don't know if there's ghosts because, it's kind of crazy. Every time I find there's always, when things happen, my best friend died in 2016, October 1st, as a matter of fact, 2016. And I didn't know he had passed away until later that day. And I found a feather when I stepped out of the vehicle, and I remember picking it up and saying somebody died. Like I knew just by that feather being there that somebody had passed away. And as a matter of fact, I found a feather the same day that we were out looking for Stephanie Shinafield here in Manatee County, the bartender that disappeared and never showed up to work and everything like that. She ended up finding it, but I came home that afternoon after looking for her for hours, and there was a feather almost in the same spot as when Nick passed away, and I picked it up and I took a picture and sent it to Olivia and Jonathan and said, I know she's gone.
How do you overcome the hate and keep going?
Well, I just ignore it. Like I don't even look at, negativity. People send me, videos of people that I know that hate on me a lot. I won't even watch them because I refuse to give them one penny of my time, and every time you watch one of these ads, you're supporting that channel, and I refuse to do it. So I just tune it out because the hate will not affect what I'm doing. And if it gets too much, then I take other action. But for the most part, it's just, I just want people, if they want to say something about, one and done. Like if you don't like what I'm saying, but to go on a 6-month rampage or a 7-month rampage about one person, that's a little overboard. It's a little creepy, to be honest with you. So I just ignore it. I don't watch it. I don't subscribe to it. I know that it's still happening. People try to tag me in all the time just to let me know they're talking about me, which again is a little creepy. But I it doesn't affect my cases. If the hate affected if it pushes me off, if the hate is so intense, which it has been very intense, has pushed me off here, I don't need to be here to begin with, because these cases are hard. And people need to know that, I stand for these victims. I do stand up for these victims. And whether it's controversial in nature or not, people can't say I'm not out there fighting for them. I'm not out fighting to keep their name out there in the public eye. However, whatever my means are, those are my means. They're not, nobody else has to mimic my means. They're
Right.
welcome to advocate for these people as they choose to advocate for these victims. Mine just may be a little bit different and a little more controversial.
I think Jamie had a question too. It's right there on the bottom of the
Is the
screen.
government doing away with the Summer Wells Fund? If so, why? It's not the government. It was a nonprofit from Churchill Rescue Squad. They were, yes, they have dissolved that fund. And there's a lot of speculation around it because they're turning it over to the courts. Now, are they turning it over to the courts because they, appropriated funds incorrectly? Are they turning it over to the court because um, the board of directors can't come up with a decision on where to send the funds? Is it because people have called up there screaming and telling them you better send it here or we're going to you don't know what they've dealt with. You don't know who's done what to them or what has been said to them, but whatever reason they feel the best strategy for them is to relinquish that money over to the court system and let the court system decide how to distribute that money the best way possible. What does that mean? It could mean that they order it to go back to the recipients that provided that fund. They may require that the money go to a nonprofit organization, but the judge could also turn that money over to the city and county for their budgetary items. We don't know.
Do you believe in Bigfoot?
I believe in every possibility out there. Now, do I believe there's a Bigfoot that live in each and every mountain? Probably not, but I believe that there were beings before us. We're just getting down to the sea. We're seeing some stuff in the sea for the first time we've never been able to see before because of new technology and being able to seal videos and things of that nature. So we're able to get deeper and deeper in the ocean, but we still don't know what all resides in that ocean because we can't possibly go down deep enough. And I think the same to be true above land. There is areas that we are unable to get to. And, could there be? Of course.
Right. Do you ever regret coming to YouTube with all the hate?
No, I have no regrets. I really have no regrets. It's the love that keeps pushing me forward. It's the people that are truly trying to help that keep pushing me forward. And I figured there was a reason why I'm here. It wasn't because I chose to be here. It was because I was guided here. And, obviously I do have thick skin. The political era thickened my skin up because that's cutthroat. Like this is, to me, with all the hate, this is kind of cakewalk for me as opposed to what I was dealing with in the political environment. And I'm still in the political environment. So I get it all over the place.
Wow. I couldn't imagine. I don't know that I don't think I'm suited for true crime. I get too emotionally invested.
Yeah.
So I'd rather stick to what I'm doing. You know what I mean? I like the people that do it. I'll share their stuff on once I get up, to where I can share stuff. Mm-hmm. I'm definitely going to share, all the things that I think are important, especially in the missing children sector or the missing people sector. But I also think that domestic violence survivors and recovering addicts need a safe space to share their stories because they matter.
Yeah.
Everyone matters.
And it was very disheartening that people, chose to tear the, stuff apart when there's people just like me all over this country. My believe it or not, the records and everything else that's not uncommon. It's not. It's actually more common than people would like to know. And it's sad, but again, it doesn't mean it didn't happen. It just means somebody's opinion of it didn't happen. Nobody has walked my shoes, just like nobody has walked the audience shoes. They have no idea what has gone on in their life. I mean, it's gotten to the point, I have PTSD from the life that I live, that if somebody comes to me almost angry or I fear that somebody is going to strike me, I will put them down. I'm not giving them the opportunity to put one finger on me. That's some changes that have happened because of my abuse, because I will never, ever, ever allow anybody to hurt me as I was hurt before.
Yeah, absolutely. I like this comment by Toaster Oven. I think that's...
I said a lot of snarky stuff and laughed at jokes about Betty, but if you give people a chance, you might find out you like them. Yeah, thank you, Toaster Oven. And she actually met me personally. We spent hours together out at the water hole, diving and eating lunch. It was really beautiful. It was really nice. And she's actually the one that gave me Summer's Day band.
Yeah, I've got mine. I'm gonna give to Rabbit. I didn't get to go to yours because I didn't have transportation.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, June 15th,
or
Summer's
I
Day.
would have been there. But
Well, that's why we went live. There were several people going live there, so everybody could be there. Even the ones that could not be there, could be there. I personally couldn't go live. I knew I wasn't going to be able to go live. I was telling everybody you need to watch other channels because my phone was running the music. It was just, and I was kind of emceeing the event. It's kind of hard to be talking and, holding a phone up for everybody to see. So I didn't run it. I didn't run it live stream, but I have to tell you the funnest part there, and I think everybody has agreed, was the lanterns. It was a hot mess at first because none of us knew what the heck we were doing, but everybody had to help each other, and everybody had to. And then when they started going up, it was just the most beautiful thing I've seen in a really long time.
right, yeah, I loved people coming together. I wish I could have met you. Maybe one day. Maybe one day. Of course, we've met virtually now. I just, I'm glad I got to meet Robin.
Robin Lane, she's a nice woman. She's a really nice woman. And I know that, we're, again, a little controversial and stuff like that. And people have told us some really, really weird stuff about her. And then when you meet her, you realize that there's no possibility of any of that.
Yeah, she's just the sweetest person, and you can tell.
And she just loves people. She really does. She just loves people. She really tries. Every single day that woman wakes up, she tries to find how she can make the world a better place. She really does. That's the kind of person that I see her being, the kumbaya. I just want everybody to be happy. I want everybody to get along. She's just a sweet, good-hearted woman. I don't see her snatching a girl to save her from a rotten home or anything like that. If anything, she would be more inclined to help fix the home so it's not a rotten home for her, as opposed to taking a child. That's just the kind of personality and the vibe I get from Robin Lane. Just a sweet, nice, wonderful human being. Couldn't have asked for a better person to be really advocating for Summer in the grand scheme of things. And whether she's kept, whether she believes that her parents were involved or not, she won't let her mind go to the negativity. She just won't. Right. She always tries to see the good in everybody, and you can't fault her for that.
No, you absolutely can't. Like, Robin Lane is probably the epitome of how people are around here. You've got your bad ones too. I'm not saying that we're all good, right? But her attitude, her self-sacrifice, like, I just know that's that's why I love it here, is because everybody's friendly. I could walk up to a stranger on the street and just strike up a conversation, and they would not look at me like I was a weirdo, or anything. It's just, I did, however, feel like, well, obviously it was the year anniversary. I just feel like Robin's got such a load to bear.
Yeah.
And I wanted to hug her, but I felt like that would be a little bit too weird, right? Mm-hmm. Bieber did. I think Bieber hugged her. She asked if we were YouTubers, and Bieber's like, "Yeah, I'm a YouTuber, but I'm not filming." And she's like, see, and this is what Robin said. She's like, "See, this is, why can't more people be honest and just tell me they're a YouTuber?"
Right.
There's been a lot of people that's tried to sneak in and
I gotta be honest. We went under disguise and went to the church. I wasn't expecting, recording.
Oh, I wasn't even going there. That wasn't even. But I think she's had a lot of people approach her on like social media platforms.
Yeah, and try to get that. Yeah. But even when we were at the church, I kind of think she knew who we were. But she was still very gracious. She was still very kind. She still talked to us. she still came up to us. I mean, just like I said, a kind, a wonderful person. We had to go to the church. People were saying horrible things about this church, and I'm telling you, I did not get the vibe of any creepy crap going on in this church.
Yeah, no.
It was a good church. I had a good lesson. We prayed. We got on our knees and prayed in that church. It was you know, I can understand their concern with bringing outsiders in with all the national attention of this case, but once inside, all those people were very, very warm. They were very, very kind. It's not one of these snake churches that we've heard about or anything like that. It was the people there were truly kind. It seemed like they really loved God, and they really loved one another.
Yes, yes. And see, like that's not my cup of tea. Like I'm not into the that type of church, but every other church that I've ever been in, I've always, and I'm from this area. I'm 20 minutes away from Kingsport.
Yeah.
I just
I'm not a Saturday church kind of gal.
Yeah,
I'm not into
No.
The whole their religion is not my religion, but
Yeah, but I'm not gonna judge.
we were hearing about snakes and these people being part of like this almost like cultish like church, and it was we want to know what it was. And
Right.
we went there and we didn't get that vibe at all. It wasn't like that at all. And so it was just a perspective avenue, because again, we do pride ourselves of being very thorough. And part of that
Well,
was the church.
and by no means, no shape, no form, nothing. I wasn't even alluding to the fact, because I had completely forgotten about that when I said what I
didn't
said
think you
about
were, but I figured
COVID.
it was a part of the story. Might as well, talk
I
about
just I was like, oh gosh, and then I'm like, yeah. But no, I feel like when I don't know, she's got such sadness behind her eyes now, or I mean, when I met her, I could see the sadness and everything. It was, and she needed to hear what Beaver told her. She really needed. She stopped her, and she's like, look, thank you for sharing with me what you share with me. I needed to hear that today. You give me strength to just go on. And I'm like, wow, this lady's such a wonderful person.
Well, you got to think that she probably spent a lot more loving, hands-on time with Summer than her family did, really, as far as attention and really spending time with her, and, trying to help her and, starting out in life and showing her, what a upstanding woman is. And, I have to think with her contact with Summer, she, it's like a teacher in their pupil. Like they can become very fond of their student body. And I have to think in the same scenario with, being a church teacher, a Sunday school teacher or Saturday school teacher, whatever you want to call it. I don't know. But, she had a lot of hands-on time. I'm sure this, as days go by, I'm sure her mind has had to slip into other areas. And I think at this point, the statistics of Summer returning safe are so low at this point, statistically speaking, that I'm sure anybody in and around Summer Wells is aching, is truly aching, because
Yeah.
they don't want to let their mind veer to that thought process. They want to remain hopeful, but they know that the odds are stacked against them. It's got to be a very defeating.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I just I feel for her after meeting her. Like after Bieber done what Bieber did and talked to her and stuff, she actually put us to work. We actually got to help her unload her truck. Right. And I'm like, cool. This is, because that's what I'm used to. That's what people do around here. If people need help, you pitch in.
Right.
It's the way it was always brought up, always, if someone needs help, you help them, and you don't ask for anything in return. It's just because you want to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and she does, and there was, and again, just to show you the kind of woman she is, there was a few things missing from the memorial. People in the chat were pointing fingers at her as removing them. I let my I didn't look into the facts first, and I'm like, well, it doesn't even matter, even if it was her, I don't care, POS, blah 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 this. But when she found, she literally drove that stuff back there, and was, she came out with a smile. She was apologetic. She was just trying to keep stuff, like, it was not anything bad. She didn't intend it for it to be bad. But she did confirm with us that the items that were meant to be left there, when she left, they were all there. So it was people.
Right.
It wasn't the. I've spoken to the park rangers. It wasn't them that removed it, and it wasn't Robin that removed it. So there was other people that removed those items from Summer Wells's memorial, and it's sad because that little girl has had so much taken from her. Why take anything else? In my opinion, that wasn't, it didn't, if you didn't bring it, you shouldn't have taken it. And it's just, it's heartbreaking for the people that did buy that and drove it across country just for Summer, just to turn around within 24 hours and it all be gone.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that's not cool. I guess though, I mean, that being a public place, they do have regulations that they have to go by. I mean, I don't have a dog in that race, so I'm just going to leave that right where you left it. Sorry, I hit the microphone. I'm going to leave that right where you left that, because that's something I mean, that's very, I mean, that gets emotions flying, and I hurt for the people.
I mean, I get it. I was
Yeah.
emotional ball of wreck when I saw it myself, so I understand. But it's a sensitive topic, so
Yeah. Yeah. I am. Well, Miss Betty, it's going on an hour and a half, and I've still got to make something to eat, take a shower, get ready for in the morning.
You got to watch the work off you.
Yes, I do. And then get ready or turn around and go back. Ain't that funny? But after work tomorrow, my hind is heading up to Rabbit's house, so I'm going to hang out with Rabbit this week.
Partying with my sister from another mister.
Yes, ma'am.
I can't wait till I get my hands on her. All right, well, you guys take care. I had a lovely time here. Thanks for the hospitality, and let's do it again.
Yes, please. I hope you have a great day, okay?
All right, you take care. Bye-bye, guys.
Bye. All right, thank you guys for coming in. I'm going to do roll call now. If I miss your name, please do not get mad at me. I'm scrolling all the way back up. I did greet some of you in the chat. Checking, thank you for being here. Let's see here. Miss Robin, as always, thank you for being here, my love. Kim Maple Syrup, thank you. You have my heart. And Anissa, thank you for being here. Gossip and Conspiracy, I can't even say your name. Thank you for being here. Heather. Lucia, thank you for being here. Shalima Tong, thank you for being here. B, thank you for being here. Hope and Truth, thank you for being here. Jamie, thank you for coming in and checking out my channel. That's actually the first time I've ever seen Jamie in here. Ange Carter, I love you, girl. Thank you for being here. White Rabbit, thank you for being here. Dukes, thank you for being here. Harley's World, thank you for being here. Toaster Oven, thank you for being here. Ellen, Mama, thank you for being here and showing support. Frankie Hopkins, thank you for being here. Let's see here. Music City Mom, too, thank you for being here. Okay, I'm just scrolling, guys. I'm so sorry. I know that I've probably got everybody, or Hell of the Life, thank you for being here. Harley's World, I'm probably going to say hi to you again because I can't remember if I got you. Crazy Nurse, thank you for being here. Penny Positive, thank you for being here. Ray Law, thank you for being here. Let me see here. I think, Laced in Chains, Lindsay, thank you for being here. There was Pindar, thank you for being here. I appreciate the support. And I know that there was a couple others that are down here. Prissy, thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting the channel. Sipping on Fire, thank you for being here. Granny Boots, thank you for being here. Kimmy or Ishtar Kimmy, thank you for being here. Goodness. I'm sorry, guys. Toaster Oven, I know I said your name, but thank you so much for being here. Charlotte Ann, thank you for being here. Goodness. I'm just scrolling through the names real quick. Okay. King of the Streets, Jamie, thank you for being here. I know I said thank you, Jamie, for being here. Thank you for coming in and checking out my channel. Today was just a laid back live. This weekend I'm going to have another live with Sun Beach, and her live will be a little more with what I'm doing on my channel. Ishtar Kimmy, as you are, thank you for being here. Platinum Boots, I guess, thank you for being here. Checking Convictions, oh my gosh, Checking, thank you for being here. Janica, thank you for being here. I'm not trying to highlight anybody. I'm sorry, guys. Alex Erickson, as always, thank you for being here. Kimmykins, thank you for being here. Pindar, thank you for being here and showing support. Little Dove, hey, thank you for being here. Yes, Little Dove, I'll do that as soon as I didn't even bring it up on my phone. Guys, you know what I always tell you once I end my lives. Little Dove, I'll mod you up. Just give me just a second. You know how I end my lives, right? I'm just going to say the same thing. Reach out to someone that you have, a loved one that you haven't talked to in a while. And tell them you love them. Just let them know you care, you know? Because we're not promised tomorrow. And it's always better to be kind, right? And also, the thing I always say is smile at a stranger. You know, they'll either think you're the weirdest thing walking or they'll smile back. And to me, that's a win-win, right? And Gail Keenan, thank you for being here. I think I missed you. Guys, I've got to go get ready for work tomorrow. It's going to be a busy day tomorrow. I've got lots of things that I've got planned. This weekend, I've got another live on Saturday. It fits in more with what my channel is about. Jackie Blue, thank you for being here. I'm sorry it's at the very end. You're right, Miss Toaster Oven. You're not promised 5 minutes, let alone tomorrow. Reach out to someone you haven't talked to. It doesn't have to be a loved one, just a friend, a random friend, and let them know that you're still there. All right, guys, I gotta go. I gotta go get something to eat, go take a shower, and go to bed. I'll catch you on the flip side. All right, I'm out.